Radical honesty, and the truth will set you free. So I had a conversation with a woman yesterday, and she had hired 2 coaches, and she, was leery about joining another coaching program. Her sales were struggling. She has a conversation with me, and I tell her the reason why you're struggling is because you have some thought or idea, some belief about salespeople, or about selling yourself, or about being a salesman, and that's what your problem is. That's what's preventing you from making sales. Your problem is your own idea about sales. And the line, quiet, silence. So I say, what are you experiencing? And she says, well, we had rapport before and now it's gone. I said, no, that's not true. We have great rapport. You just don't like what I told you. I told you the truth. And I've been doing this for 6 years. And so the truth will set you free, but it might piss you off on the way out. And ultimately, I think she was really upset that she didn't have the kind of confidence that I do about her business. An aversion to like people that are in sales and have confidence. Today is day 8 of the 30-day Take Your Power Back Now video challenge. We're talking about radical honesty. This is in chapter 5 of my book, Take Your Power Back Now. It's the ultimate confidence guide for women. I invite you to pick up a copy, if you want, on my site, takeyourpowerbacknow.com. It's available now for free as a download for a limited time. So the truth, radical honesty. How many times do we look at life and, for example, just tell ourselves it'll get better, and we ignore the feelings that we have. We ignore our feelings. I think as women specifically, we've been almost trained not to feel our feelings. We've been so distanced from them. Be a good girl. Put other people's feelings above your own. And that's really, giving your power away, because if you don't like what's showing up on the reflection called your life, it's because of a thought that you have, and that thought is actually showing up as a reaction, as a feeling in your life. So for example, something happens to you, something goes wrong in business, somebody criticizes you, you don't make the sale, whatever happens to you on this feel called life, that reaction that you have, that emotional reaction, is a really good indicator of the thought that you're thinking that is continuing to keep that experience showing up in your life. So the first step to any kind of transformation is radical honesty with yourself, first and foremost, about how you're feeling. Being radically honest with yourself about how you're feeling. That's the first step in even being able to communicate to somebody else. Radical honesty. I teach a process, being radically honest with yourself about how you're feeling, and then looking at the thought that created it and taking radical responsibility for that and turning it around, because there's nobody else out there creating for you. And everything is being created through your point of vibration, through the feeling that you're having. So if it's like, if it's off, if it's murky, if it's weird, if it's doubtful, if it's fearful, if it's anger, if it's sadness, it's not a high vibration. You're attracting more of that to you. And so I believe as a society, we're pretty much screwed, because we have a society of escapism. We get bigger TVs. You just get to buy a bigger TV, have a beer, grab a smoke, turn on some internet. But whatever you do, don't look at your feelings. We have a society that's escaping most of them, or most of the time. And it's really where your power lies, diving right into the feeling. And grabbing a flashlight and taking a look at it and bringing it into the conscious realm. So there's a question that you can ask yourself. I'm going to share it with you now. Any situation in your life, anything that is going on, that you're upset with, that you don't like, ask yourself this question. What is the worst thing that could happen? What's the worst possible thing that could happen in this situation? And that thought that comes up, you might not like. You might think, holy smokes, that's ridiculous. This is crazy. But that thought will give you really the thought that's right below your consciousness. It's just hiding out in the subconscious. It's right there. You don't have to dig very far. You don't have to be on a psychologist's couch for 12 years, okay? You really don't. You gotta be willing to go and look at this stuff. And this takes courage. Most people don't ever want to look at it. They don't want to take it. There's all these feelings. We don't want to have them. We don't want to look at them. They're awful. They're ugly. They're uncomfortable. Put a lid on it, check into it a couple years from now. Everything's okay. And really, that's a recipe for disaster. It's a recipe for disaster. So my invitation for you today is to be radically honest with yourself about how you're feeling, about the things that are going on in your life, and take a look at those. Take a look at the thought. So, what's the worst thing that can happen to me right now? Take a look at that thought. That's what you're putting in your mind. That's what's living in your mind right now. That's what you're creating. And how does that make you feel when you read that thought? How does that actually make you feel? Because your feelings want expression. Your feelings want expression, and they do express themselves in the physical world. So if you don't like what you're creating, if you don't like what you're manifesting, it's time to take a radical, honest look at that and take radical responsibility for it. And that turns into an act of radical self-love. The most profound thing you can do for yourself is master what goes on in here and in here. I love you. If you've enjoyed this video and you'd like more, please visit my site, takeyourpowerbacknow.com. I'm giving away a free copy of this best-selling book. It's really about how to take your power back from fear, from the ego, from your mind, from external forces, from other people, and really wield it in a way to create a life that you love. So I love you. My name is Vanessa Simpkins, and this has been day 8 of the 30-day Take Your Power Back Now video challenge. If you like this video, please share it on your wall. I love you. Have an amazing day.